A fragile ceasefire may be emerging in the US-Israel war on Iran after weeks of escalating attacks across the Middle East. United States President Donald Trump has agreed to suspend a planned bombing campaign against Iran for 2 weeks, reversing course just hours before a deadline he had set for major strikes. Earlier in the day, Trump had warned that a whole civilization will die tonight if Tehran failed to comply with his demands. But shortly before the deadline, the US president announced that he would pause the attack after talks with Pakistan's leadership. Posting on Truth Social, Trump said the decision came after conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir, who had urged him to give diplomacy more time. Trump said he agreed to suspend the bombing for 2 weeks, describing the arrangement as a double-sided ceasefire while negotiations continue. Iran soon confirmed that a tentative agreement had been reached. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran would halt its military operations if attacks against Iran stopped. He also said Iran would allow safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz for 2 weeks, coordinated with its armed forces. Araghchi thanked Pakistan for what he described as its tireless efforts to end the war in the region. Iran's Supreme National Security Council issued a separate statement backing the 2-week ceasefire while warning that the country remains prepared for further fighting. Officials said negotiations would begin in Islamabad, but stressed they would take place with complete distrust of the American side. The council added that Iran's forces remain ready to respond immediately if the ceasefire collapses. Pakistan has positioned itself at the center of the diplomatic effort. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the ceasefire agreement applies not only to Iran and the United States but also to their allies, including Lebanon and elsewhere. He invited delegations from both countries to Islamabad on April 10 to begin negotiations aimed at reaching a longer-term settlement. Sharif said both sides had shown remarkable wisdom and understanding during the last-minute mediation and expressed hope that the upcoming Islamabad talks could produce a durable peace. The announcement came after hours of rising tension across the region as Trump's deadline approached. In the lead-up to the decision, Pakistan had publicly urged Washington to extend its deadline by 2 weeks and asked Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz as a goodwill gesture. Diplomats said the request appeared to gain traction in Washington, with the White House confirming that Trump was reviewing the proposal. Across the Middle East, governments had been bracing for a large-scale US strike on Iran and the possibility of retaliatory attacks. Even after the ceasefire announcement, uncertainty remained. Air raid sirens sounded in Bahrain. Saudi Arabia intercepted 5 missiles. Kuwait warned residents to stay indoors. And Qatar said its air defenses had intercepted a missile. The United Arab Emirates also said it was responding to a missile threat, urging residents to remain in safe locations. The Israeli military said it detected missile launches from Iran, with air defense systems moving to intercept the projectiles. It is also unclear how the truce will affect fighting in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah has been engaged in ongoing clashes with Israeli forces. The war itself has now lasted more than 5 weeks, since the United States and Israel launched their joint military offensive against Iran on February 28. The conflict has already caused significant casualties across the region. More than 2,000 people have been killed in Iran, while 26 people have died in Israel. In nearby Gulf states, 28 people have been killed, and the United States has lost 13 service members. One of the central flashpoints remains the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran effectively blocked early in the war. The disruption of shipping through the narrow waterway has pushed fuel prices sharply higher worldwide and triggered economic pressure across many countries. Meanwhile, diplomatic tensions at the United Nations remain high. Russia and China vetoed a Security Council resolution aimed at protecting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, arguing that the proposal unfairly targeted Iran.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2026/273 please raise their hand. Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 11 votes in favor, 2 votes against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
The United States criticized the vetoes, accusing Moscow and Beijing of allowing Tehran to hold the global economy hostage.
We are here because Iran's tyrannical regime has persisted for decades in escalating its attacks against the American people, our allies in the region, and the world's commercial fleets, in flagrant violation of international law and nearly a dozen resolutions from the United Nations Security Council. Colleagues, 47 years ago, the Iranian regime's first act was to take dozens of Americans hostage. Now, it's taking the Strait of Hormuz hostage, and with it, attempting to take the world's economy hostage. Well, colleagues, that may be its last act. We'll see.
For now, the 2-week pause offers a narrow diplomatic window, but with fighting still continuing in some parts of the region and deep mistrust on all sides, it remains unclear whether the ceasefire will lead to lasting negotiations or simply delay the next phase of the war.